Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Folari, and thank God it's Friday. Well, this Friday, our guest is a long-time friend, but we haven't seen as much of him as we would have liked to. I'm talking about Alhaji Lai Mohamed, the Honorable Minister for Information. You know that your people are out there, your people are in here, but you've been scarce from us. It must be duties of state.
Thank you very much, Folari. I miss you too. And I actually do miss our people, our audience there, because we also learn a lot from them.
Indeed.
So regular interaction with them has also been very useful to me. But regrettably, the last few months have been...
They've been quite hectic.
Insanely, one has been insanely busy, but not busy enough to forget our audience. But of course, also busy for good reasons too, for good cause.
That's good.
Also.
That's good, because this is the season where, in the political season, we have maybe something like a week, not to the election, but to do this kind of thing where we're talking about politics and campaigning and politicking. But the 2023 elections, Tinubu's presidential ambition. In fact, we're very, very fortunate this morning because earlier on, we actually had another honorable minister on the program earlier this morning, Minister Babatunde Raji Fashola.
Oh, I see.
He was on the program earlier, and here we are. We didn't work it out like that. No. It's a very, very happy coincidence. So we're delighted to have you. But let me ask you something, Alhaji, and maybe we can start from there. There was a time when anything APC and Tinubu, and just the APC family. Tinubu is just one part of it, but the APC family, you were very, very much in evidence. And people seem to have noticed that in this time, we've not seen Alhaji Lai Mohamed as much as we used to see him, as for instance, before this administration came to power. Maybe when you were, quote unquote, in the trenches. We were seeing you very, very frequently. And so people are wondering, now that, well, we're back there, Alhaji Bola, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he's striving to be the president. Why have we not seen some of those old, reliable APC names that we used to know? First of all, will you accept the charge that you've been, quote unquote, missing in action a bit when it comes to Tinubu's quest?
So, Folari, that's quite unfair and it's very untrue. I've been missing in action when it comes to APC's campaign, or especially my mentor's quest for presidency. That's not very correct. It's not correct at all. Number one, there are many ways to skin a cat.
Okay.
And there are many ways you can support a campaign. You could either be there, you could also contribute financially, you could also, be in the think tank. And I think with all sense of humility, I've been there. Okay. Physically, I came back from Abeokuta, from Ibadan only yesterday. And as a matter of fact, I had to take an Okada from Hall to the airport.
What did you do with the Babashiga? You would have been billowing like a parachute behind you.
With my ADC, because it was the only way we could make the flight.
Okay.
But even before then, I was also in Lagos for the rally. I was in Katsina for the rally. I was in Lafayette for the rally. I was in Lorry for the rally. Okay,
so you've been there, but the other thing to say is that, again, we've always known you as a front row kind of person. So if you were there, but maybe for me to have made this mistake and you having to check me, for which I am grateful, that no, on the contrary, I've been there, not seen you. It's the same thing that's been said about the president.
I think, yes.
Mr. President.
Yes, but
in fact, some newspapers actually said that Mr. President has been reluctant to come out and openly support.
I think I'll come to that.
Yes.
But I will say again with all sense of humility that I've devoted the last 3 months plus to complementing the campaign of the presidential candidate of the APC.
Okay.
I introduced the PMB Scorecard Series, which is a platform whereby every minister comes to address bureau chiefs, editors, correspondents on his stewardship in the last 8 years. In other words, it's a platform whereby every minister comes to tell Nigerians that this is what we've achieved in agriculture, this is what we've achieved in the area of works, works. These are how many roads we built, these are how many bridges we built, railway. And to the glory of God, between October 18 and last Tuesday, 25 ministers have given their scorecards. And what is quite significant about this platform is that before we started this scorecard series, the opposition's refrain was that this government and APC, and by extension, Ashwaja Bola Tinubu, they are planning to campaign with. They've been in power for 8 years, and yet they are planning to campaign with.
You have nothing to campaign with.
Yes.
No,
but when
such was the allegation.
Yes, but when we came with this program, it was clear that we even have what you call umbrella show. In other words, we have so many things to campaign with, and that has changed the narrative. And what is again unique about scorecard series is that it's a 4-layered approach to broadcasting. It's a 4-layer approach to propagating what you have done. First, every day, and you see, normally we have 3 scorecards in a week. Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. Sometimes when there's no Federal Reserve Council meeting, we also have on Wednesdays. And that's why we're able to hold 25, 26, because this 26th one was for the National Publishing Council. I'll come to that later. Now, I say it's a 4-layered approach to propagating the achievements of this administration. The first is that it is covered live by NTA, by FRCN, by Voice of Nigeria, and also streamed live by the social media handle of the Federal Ministry of Information and Culture. That's the first layer. The second layer is that because we invite bureau chiefs, editors, and correspondents, they also go back to report the same scorecard. The third layer is what we call this e-bite, where we break down into small bites and we send by social media and WhatsApp the quotations and the highlights of that presentation. And lastly, we also now take time to buy airtime and show the same presentation again on private media. Such as TVC, AIT, and channels. And this is what has made this to go down, to as many people as possible. So in my own way, 3 times a week, I'm campaigning.
Okay. But people are not hearing the name of Tinubu in all of that. This is, again, rightly... No. Wait, sir. Yes. Let me sort of explain myself. This is the scorecard of the incumbent administration.
Right.
And there's rightly so. You're a minister of the Federal Republic, a sworn minister. So there are, like anybody. But, as we said, the season is the political season. It is the president is a member of APC. So there's that sense in which I take everything that you've said as it has to be benefiting whoever is coming along as long as it's an APC person. So I imagine that even Ashwaji Bola Tinubu will be benefiting from that, which I think is what you're saying. But I wanted to get to the point of selling your candidate. And that's why I made the charge that there are people, they might not know enough about it, that are saying that even Mr. President was reluctant until very, very recently
See,
to come on
Mr.
and sell
yeah.
the candidature. But after that, we've heard that we are lucky to have him. We're lucky to have him, representing our party.
No, sir. No, sir. Mr. Polari, number one, the major beneficiary of the scorecard is the incoming president by the grace of God. That is Alhaji Lai Mohamed.
Okay.
Why? Because Buhari is not running.
Exactly.
So two people are the major beneficiaries of this scorecard series. The party and its candidates.
Okay. Because we have to take everything back to the party.
Exactly. Because the Alhaji Lai Mohamed is not an independent candidate. He's running on the platform of APC. And people will say, your party has been in power for 8 years. What have they done? Why must we vote for you? Therefore, the direct beneficiary of the scorecard series is Alhaji Lai Mohamed, because we are saying that his party that has been in power for 8 years has done so much. Therefore, you must vote for him so that he can consolidate on what they've done. Now, two, the scorecard series has also given us a platform to address and debunk certain allegations against both the government and its candidate by the opposition. Okay. And I can sit here and tell you about 3-4 examples.
I get that.
Right. Now, your allegation, or rather not your actually, or rather that impression out there that the president is a reluctant campaigner for but I think is again very untrue and very unfair. Let's start from the beginning. Mr. President sat all through the National Convention that produced Alhaji Lai Mohamed, left about 2 or 3 in the morning and came back to join us until he was pronounced the candidate of the party. Number 2, it will be self-immolation on the part of Mr. President or any member of APC or any member of this government not to support Alhaji Lai Mohamed in his quest for presidency. Okay. Because we will be the first victims.
Well, it's good you put it, you've explained it like this, Alhaji. Why I say that, people are so passionate about current affairs in this country. And there was a time, especially during the time that you're citing now, when the APC convention was a virtual, we just didn't know what was going on there. It seemed that all sorts of dramas, intrigues were going on. It was felt that the powers that be in the party didn't want somebody, wanted somebody else, and all of that. But all's well that ended well. At the end of the day, Alhaji Lai Mohamed emerged. But then look at where we are nowadays, sir. Look at where we are nowadays when people are making all sorts of
you see people
insinuations
you see
on what is going on.
In politics, conspiracy theories and all kinds of armchair analysts abound. I've said it several times, and I'm saying it again, that if there are any such people, they don't represent either Mr. President or the party. Mr. President has demonstrated all through this period his unflinching support for Alhaji Lai Mohamed. In Lafia, in I think it was the last 2 campaigns where he was with Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he made it clear, this is my successor.
Yes, indeed. That much, nobody
very,
can say
very
they
clear.
didn't hear that.
And,
this is
and I was with him on Saturday, and we were discussing, and of course this matter came out, and he said, it's even unthinkable for anybody to even think so. That he will not support his own candidate. Okay. He would not support Bola Ahmed Tinubu. But there are some people out there who want to cause a lot of mischief, create a gulf between the president and the incoming president.
Okay. And inshallah.
By the grace of God. And I can tell you that they don't represent either the party or the government or the APC. Pure and simple.
Now, in this conversation, there's another thing that I'm just remembering now, sort of noting on now. You're probably one of the people that know the candidate of APC, Alhaji Lai Mohamed Tinubu, very, very well. You were his chief of staff back in the day.
Right.
So you worked I think that's what chief of staffs do. They work very, very closely with their principals. Another chief of staff was Babatunde Raji Fashola. But going back to you were chief of staff before him. If you were to take an assessment of knowing, first of all, the caliber and quality of the man and looking at the field out there, when you tend to look at his chances, so how would you say, are you feeling very, very good that from what I know?
I'll take this question from two perspectives. From what I know of Asiwaju. My association with Asiwaju did not start with my being chief of staff. Probably started about 10 years before then.
Okay.
During the SDP NRC days. And one that struck me as far back as 1991, Asiwaju, is his sense of loyalty, his sense of fairness, and his sense of justice. In 1991, there were three tendencies of SDP in Lagos State. There was the Agbala Jobi, there was the Sarumi, there was the Yomi Edu. And I belong to the Yomi Edu, tendency, while Asiwaju belonged to the Sarumi tendency then. Well, we went for primaries. We came a distant third. That's your Yomi tendency. But when we came third, both the Agbala Jobis and the Sarumins wooed us. At the end of the day, we went to join the Sarumis where Asiwaju was for some local political reasons. When a few weeks later, the then administration nullified and disqualified all the three, disqualified both Sarumi and Agbala Jobi, other people came out to go and come and contest. And there were fresh elections. So he said, no. It's only if Yomi Edu says no that anybody can come out from our group. Because when we needed an alliance, he came to us. And that was when I started respecting him.
Okay.
Now, of course, like I say, the rest is history. After that, we worked together, and he was kind enough to nominate me as chief of staff when he became governor of Lagos State. And what again struck me was this is a man who was prepared for governance from day one. That's why I'm so confident that Nigeria will be very lucky and Nigeria will witness a rebirth when he becomes president, by the grace of God.
Well, people in your camp, and that's a difficult word when I say camp. I mean, people of the same persuasion as you feel that Bola Tinubu is clearly the person to beat. He's clearly the man to beat. Of course, there are other candidates out there, and the way they see it, they will say the way any sportsman will say that I'm going to win, I'm going to win. But most people seem to think that given the antecedent of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he is the guy to beat. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. You see, Bola Ahmed Tinubu was already on the farm before some people set an alarm to wake them up. What do I mean by this? Is that Bola Ahmed Tinubu had prepared for this day more than 20 years ago. People forget very easily that...
I beg your pardon, Alhaji. I think there's a technical issue, but there's a caller on the line. Benga is on the line. Benga calling in from Abuja. Good morning, Benga. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, Mr. Yori. Good morning, the Honorable Minister, who is my neighbor in Abuja here.
How are you, sir?
Yes, Mr. Minister, you have been very silent these days. You see, the current issue of...
Okay. It's interesting. Maybe Benga can get back in because, you were just explaining that area to me at the top of the program when he said you've been very silent these days.
No, right. I don't know what he means by silent on what. So
maybe he can get back in. He can explain
what I said, people forget very easily that in 2003, the only state that survived the tornado of PDP in the AD, in the entire southwest, was Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
That's right. That's right.
And from that moment, he started building bridges across Nigeria.
Actually, at that time, nobody knew.
Nobody knew.
Maybe very few people knew that he was working at something.
Exactly. From AD, we became ACD. From ACD, we became AC. From AC, we became ACN. From ACN, we became APC. This was the same gentleman who was propelling and spreading his tentacle to every part of Nigeria. And this is why today is payback time. Because he had already established structures all over Nigeria.
Okay.
And it's one position today that you cannot attach any ethnic or religious label to. Is an all-season Nigeria.
And this started way back.
This started way back 2003. I mean, because I was a witness. I was a participant. Not just I was a participant when in Bodilon we started holding meetings.
That's his residence, his personal residence.
We started holding meetings with all people you never thought he could even work with from all parts of the country. He was supporting and sponsoring candidates in Taraba, in Anambra, in Bayelsa, in Kogi,
so he's
in
putting
Kwara.
the work. He's putting the work.
Yes, and he was putting in everything he had, and this is what is metamorphosing into his obvious success today. I remember that in 2007, sir, 2007, AD had only one state. That was BRF. If you remember, between 2007 and 2011, we became 4. We won 3. We first won Edo in court. Then we won Ekiti. Then we won Osun. And then people began to really reckon with Asiwaju.
A deluge. Let me bring in Ademola, and thank you, Mr. Ademola, for holding on a bit. Mr. Ademola in Ipaja, good morning to you.
Good morning, Mr. Yori.
Yes.
And good morning, my honorable.
Yes.
Please, the question I have for honorable is this. Well, in 2019, when we were preparing for Mr. President's second term, okay, there was no fuel scarcity, everything was so peaceful. Why is it now that he's preparing to hand over for the incoming government, there's fuel scarcity and the issue of this Naira currency that is causing havoc? As we speak now, there was a riot this morning at Ojota. You understand? So my concern is people are doubting.
By the way, the situation in Ojota, perhaps you also know that the situation in Ojota, we are told, has returned to normal.
Fine. But what I'm saying is...
I hear you. I just wanted to add that.
What I'm saying is the issue of this fuel scarcity one and the issue of this Naira redesigning of new currency shouldn't have come up this period when we are very close to election period. That's just my challenge. And that is what people are saying, that the government is not secure with the incoming APC presidential candidate. So that's just my concern.
Okay.
They are doubting the sincerity of this government. They are not supporting incoming president Tinubu as we expected.
Let's hear what
Thank you so much.
Alhaji Lai Mohamed has to say about that.
Thank you very much for your comment. I wish you had joined this conversation earlier. I said something very clearly, very, very clearly. I said it will be suicidal for anybody in this government or in this party in particular not to support Alhaji Lai Mohamed Tinubu. It will be self-immolation. We will be preparing the ground for what we call a hostile takeover.
Okay.
So, look,
and
this
a hostile takeover cannot come from within APC.
No way.
It comes from...
What I'm saying is that if APC does not succeed itself, Alhaji Lai Mohamed Tinubu does not become the president of this country, and we will, by the grace of God, the biggest loser will be all of us in APC. So it's not in our interest to put blocks, stumbling blocks on the way.
Okay.
And I'm glad to say that in the respect of the first situation is easing up. But on the issue of the Naira, Mr. President has spoken on that. And I have no further comments. But I want to say again, it is not in our own interest or anybody whatsoever to put stumbling blocks on the road of Alhaji Lai Mohamed Tinubu.
Oh, just by the way, as you said, the fuel situation, you say, is easing up. But the point he was saying is, why was it allowed to happen?
No,
it was seen as part of the whole... it's a very difficult aspect. Speaking
Mr. Folari,
yes.
I have just to, and this is common sense, with due respect. You see, if, God forbid, if any other party today should take over from APC, who will be the first victims? To be us. And make no mistake about it, will be everybody. So I don't think I need to stress that point further.
Okay. Mr. Yakub in Dokwemu, good morning to you, sir.
Yeah, good morning, sir. And good morning to Honorable Minister. We do respect, sir. Let me begin by saying this. Some of us that support this government, I can tell you for fact, we did not support this government. I always say this, if you can bear me that witness. We are not supporting this government because we need anything rather than good governance. And then as the right caller and the last caller rightly said, with due respect to you, sir, Honorable Minister, I can say that you talk for yourself. Sir, don't talk for any other person within that cabinet. Why am I saying that? Let's tell ourselves the truth. They made this very particular time uneasy for some of us by fans of Alhaji Lai Mohamed Tinubu to defend him. Why? Why? Because people don't even remember that he was never been a president. It was just a masterminder of this very particular government of this place. Now, in 2019, if Mr. President wants to redesign this Naira, why can't he do it at that time? Let me tell you for the fact.
Well, Alhaji has said that he's not going to comment on the Naira matter. In fairness to him, the president has spoken. There's nothing more for him to add. I beg your pardon.
You see, Mr. Fulani, honestly, it boils down to what I've said. It's a conspiracy theory. And what is the point of an operation being successful and the patient dying? Now, what's going to happen to us if Alhaji Lai Mohamed Tinubu loses this election? I speak for the government of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I speak for the press, including the president. And I can tell you, without mincing words, that there is no division within the government.
Well, with due
look,
regards,
the perception out there
Yes.
is different from the
reality.
I'm talking about reality.
Okay. Because that guy, that gentleman, Yakub said, sir, please, you can speak for yourself.
Look,
what he's alluding to there is that we see that there seem to be enemies within.
Mr. Folari, I'm saying this with all sense of responsibility. That the federal government of Nigeria that I speak for and the party that I belong to, we are united
behind
and
this project.
Resolved that we have no other option
than supporting the candidate of the party.
And we've done this, we have manifested this in many ways. One, I told you about the president going out to campaign for the candidate. I told you about him going out to say, this is my successor. And I know a few other things that I'm not at liberty to discuss here. But make no mistake about it. There are a lot of conspiracy theories over there. But the truth is what I'm telling you. That this president and this government is totally behind Bola Ahmed Tinubu.